Hi there, my name is Suze, and I work with women to help them find balance between their internal masculine and feminine energies so that they can have lives that feel really, truly emotionally fulfilling, full of love and connection. So, today I want to talk about one of my favorite subjects ever, emotional availability. I love talking about emotional availability because it's just something from deep within me that I really wish more people understood and were really focusing on. I really foresee the future as being a lot more emphasis on the value of a person being how emotionally available they are or how much emotional capacity they can hold in their heart. I really see humanity shifting in a really gorgeous and very meaningful way of really focusing on the emotional aspects of ourselves and really taking that to the next level and seeing how that really defines a person's value. So, not going to go into that anymore about that today, but I'm so thrilled. Like, I can see the world going in that direction, and I'm just like, yes, let's go. So, let's talk about emotional availability. What are five quick little things you can start to plug in to help you on your emotional available journey in becoming better at becoming emotionally available? You know, something that started my journey into becoming more emotionally available was when it really hit me that, I can't expect to be in a relationship with someone who's going to be emotionally available to me if I'm not already emotionally available to myself and I can't offer that to someone else. It's literally energetically impossible to attract something in if you're not already at that frequency or that energy, that state of being, right? If we had no energy at any level, you know that. You attract in what you already have, as within, so without, as above, so below. So we have to really take the responsibility first to become really radically emotionally available to ourselves before we're going to have it in a relationship with someone else or even attract someone in who's emotionally available. So, anyway, five things, and I have my notes because you can probably tell I tend to go off on my squirrels, and I really try to keep these videos as kind of little bite-sized mindset shifts for everybody just to give you something to think about and maybe shift your perspectives a little bit. So, number one, you have to make a promise to yourself that you're not going to rush, you're not going to try to fix, and you're not going to shame yourself. So make a promise to yourself that you're not going to rush the process, you're not going to try to fix the process, and you're not going to shame yourself or the process. I love working with women, and one of the core pillars that I plug in on my healing sessions is the idea of making promises to yourself and literally writing them out as if they were a legal contract. This is a really quick way, this is an extra bonus for you guys right now, a really quick way to build some self trust. If you literally create promises with yourself with the level of serious intention as if it were a legal contract with someone or something else, that really shifts things. And the more you do that and really hold your promises to yourself, obviously you're going to be building self trust because that's how trusts work with another person, right? If you have promises with another person and they are reliable and dependable and they come through on their word or their promises, you know you can trust them. So start doing that with you. Number two, validate. I think this is like probably the most important of all 5 points. Validate. And this kind of goes back on the whole idea of the promising not to shame yourself. And the validation is really, really simple. If you're feeling angry, I have every reason to feel angry right now. It's okay that I am angry. I'm going to sit with this. It's okay that I am disappointed. It's okay that I'm upset. I have every right in the world to feel this way. It's what I choose to do with this feeling is what matters. You have to validate because this is such a core thing that, like, outside of us in the world, we do not have enough people, if anyone, who validates. Everyone, it's so quick to point the finger at another person, and there's not enough people validating the feelings, because big feelings make other people uncomfortable. This is kind of tiptoeing on the video I did right before this about it's not about letting it go. It's shame-based. It's not about letting it go. Same here. I have to validate that whatever I'm feeling, even though it feels really chaotic, even though it feels crazy, even though I'm scared of what other people may think of me or how they may misunderstand me or not like me, I validate myself that I have every right to feel whatever I'm feeling right now. Number 2, validate. Number 3, reassure. Now, there's a few steps in between this, inside this one. Reassure yourself. This is where this is going to really help you out with any wounded masculine energy you have inside of you. If you grew up with a father, or, excuse me, if you've had experiences with men in your life where, you were constantly made to feel like you're over dramatic, or you're overreacting, or you're too emotional, or you're too intense, or you're too sensitive, you know that what you actually needed was to be held. You know that what you actually wanted was for someone to hold your hand, or for someone to just hug you and love you in the midst of your mess, in the midst of your chaos, whatever it is emotionally. And so the reassurance is giving yourself a hug, basically. So I have a few questions you can plug in here to really help you know what to do with the reassurance part. Okay, number 1, what would help me feel calm right now? What would help make me feel safe right now? Because big chaotic emotions don't feel safe. They make you feel kind of crazy, right? And that's the whole problem. So then we run away from them for a variety of reasons. So what would help me feel safe right now? And then what would help ground me? So these are questions I always tell the women I'm working with. When you have these kinds of questions, you can't be asking yourself these questions when you're in the middle of an emotional storm, because you literally psychologically cannot problem solve or creatively think when you're already in an emotional shitstorm, okay? These are questions you have to do when you're alone and maybe you're journaling and you're feeling good, you're feeling stable, you're already feeling okay. These are the questions you ask yourself so that you already have tools of what you know to do where you can plug in the moment of emotional distress. Because when you're in that emotional distress place, that is not the time to be trying to figure out what to do. You need to ask yourself these questions and then already know your list of possible things you can do that do help you feel calm, and you can just plug them right in. So this is like you have to do your homework beforehand so that in the moment of the emotional test, you already have a list of possible solutions to plug in. For example, for me, one of my great tools is a cup of tea. If I'm recognizing I'm going through something and I need to just pull back for a minute, take some space, and reevaluate and take care of myself, going outside, listening to the birds, having a cup of tea really kind of helps to bring me down a little bit. That's just one of my examples. You find the things that work for you. Number 4 in becoming more emotionally available is release time expectations. I talked about this a little bit in my video before this, again, the one about letting it go. Too often, we're trying to rush the process, and we think that something's wrong if it's taking too long. There's no such thing as an emotional process taking too long. I don't know if anyone listening to these videos is familiar with human design. I am a projector with emotional authority, which means I have an emotional wave. When something happens to me and I become emotionally triggered in some sort of way, I have this emotional wave that carries out for a while, and I have to ride my emotional wave as long as it takes before I can get to a point of clarity about what I should actually do or decide in any particular moment. And that is something that our culture does not like to accept a lot of the time. We have all these expectations and these societal conditioning that You should be getting over things a lot faster than most of us can actually get over things. It's never about getting over anything. You're not getting over anything. You're learning to love yourself in the midst of emotional chaos. So it takes as long as it takes. Come back to the idea of reassurance, of being held, someone hugging you when you're really going through something and you just want someone to hold you and accept you as you are. That's really all the hug is acceptance. You just want them to hold you for as long as it takes. You don't want them to just quickly hug you and then let go and, oh, you're on your own now. No, when you really want to be held, you want to be held for as long as it takes. So give yourself that courtesy of, I will stay with myself as long as it takes. And number 5, stop asking how. How is this going to work out? How am I going to get through this? How is this going to happen? How? How is only looking at the future, and again, that means you're abandoning the present moment. Which again, if you have an anxious attachment style, that's their whole problem. The whole problem is you're always focusing somewhere else instead of being present with yourself when you're in the anxious attachment style. Subject for another day. Keep talking about the anxiety. Clearly, I need to do a video on anxiety and attachment styles. But that's the whole problem. If you are an anxious attachment style, you're avoiding yourself and you're looking out there. And that's what's happening here. You have to stay present with yourself, with the feelings, with the emotions. Stop looking at the future. Stop asking how, because it's just going to create more chaos for yourself. And instead, go inward and see if you can find the need. What is the actual need that my inner child is screaming for right now, clearly? What's the wound? Now, clearly, this part right here, finding the need and finding the wound, that's really, really, really hard to do on your own. So I'd really recommend working with someone on that. This is something that I love to do with my clients, is helping them peel back the layers of these emotional symptoms that are showing an underlying wound that simply needs to be healed. And until we identify what's actually happening at that core wound need level, whatever that emotional neglect was prior, that's now showing up in the present moment, we have to be available. Think about that. That's the opposite. Emotional neglect, emotional availability. They're two polar opposites. So if you want to become more emotionally available to yourself and others, you're going to have to go back and figure out where the emotional neglect was. That's where the wound is. That's where the need is. So if anyone wants more information on that, would love to work with me, in my description box below, there's my email and my website. You can find out more about me there. You can follow me on Instagram. I hope this video helped for emotional availability. Please do like and subscribe to help support me and spread my message, and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.